Welcome to the Cosmic Business Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Palace, and this podcast is for soulful entrepreneurs who want to harness the cosmic power of astrology to elevate their message, unlock flow, and attract their best clients ever. Join me every week and get excited to discover how you can use the energy of the cosmos to get the business breakthrough you've been waiting for. Okay, I want to do a really quick and dirty episode today about the astrology tools that you can use. Most of these are free to really help you understand more about yourself and your business. Now, obviously, as someone who provides astrology and strategic advice services, I want you to come see me. And I think that is the best way for you to really go deep and get a profound understanding of yourself and what's going on in your business, is to see a professional astrologer or see someone who specializes in business astrology. Having said that, when you're in the early phases of getting to know whether something is going to resonate with you, you might want to do a little bit of your own research. You might want to get to know a little bit more about astrology. So if that's where you're at right now, I want to share a few tools that I have personally used to understand more about myself. A few of the tools I used when I was getting started to really help me to unravel and understand whether or not astrology was the way that I wanted to go, whether or not astrology had the capacity to help me in the way that I wanted it to. I now know that it does and that it can help you too. But if you're in that exploration phase, hopefully this will be really helpful to you to know what to look at next. And I want to start with setting up your own free birth chart. Now, birth charts can look really complicated if you've never seen one before. They can feel quite overwhelming. And this is why I think it's best to actually have a session with an astrologer in the first instance, just to give you that introduction to birth charts. However, if you're really keen to dive into it yourself, what I now recommend is you go and use a tool called astrology.com. Now, this is a free chart calculator. I have recommended other tools in the past, and I'm actually going to probably go back and change all the links to astrology.com just because I feel it's more reliable and it's more customizable. I do have a YouTube video on how to set up your chart using astrology.com, and I would really encourage you to go and have a look at that. It's just 10 minutes. It's going to help you to set it up and know what you're looking at, right? So astrology.com will allow you to set up a free birth chart. It will allow you to select the house system. So if you are doing workshops with me, you would know that I use the whole sign house system. So it's really important that you select the whole sign house system when you're setting up a birth chart so that you're not getting confused when it comes to looking at the houses. So I've had a few students come back to me and say, hang on, but I set up my chart using this system and now it's giving me this different information. So keep in mind that different chart calculators will use different house systems, and that sounds complicated, but really you just need to focus on using the whole sign house system. If you're doing workshops with me, listening to this podcast, working with me, because that's a system that I use, and I feel like it's the most simple system to start with. You may want later on in your astrology journey to switch into a different system, and that's totally fine. It's totally personal preference, and a lot of astrologers use different systems. But for the purposes of working out timing in your business, using a whole sign system is really beneficial, really effective. So check out my YouTube video on setting up your free birth chart in astrology.com. That's going to give you some great basic understanding of your birth chart. You're going to see some interpretation there as well. There is some interpretation of the planets and the houses and all of that sort of thing in there, which is really helpful, rather than just giving you a straight up birth chart with no context. But keep in mind that getting a birth chart reading through a computerized system is not the same at all as sitting down with an astrologer and having that birth chart explained to you and the relationships between the planets explained to you and the houses and all of that sort of thing. That puts everything in context, and being able to sit with a client and ask questions and pull things out and have discussions around what is coming through the chart is so much more powerful than getting a computer generated report. However, getting that computer generated report may be your first step down this path. So I want to put this out there as well. If you're interested in astrology apps, getting them for your phone, just so you can check in daily horoscopes, getting a little bit more guidance in terms of the moons, I really do recommend that you get on board with an app that you enjoy. My favorite astrology app is the Chani app. That's Chani. It's created by an astrologer called Chani Nicholas, and that's why it's called the Chani app. It is the whole sign house system that she uses as well. So that keeps it consistent, and it does have a whole range of stuff. Weekly, it will give you a horoscope reading based on your rising sign, but also it gives you things like, moon updates, full moon, new moon, gives you little rituals you can do, it gives you meditations you can access depending on what's happening with your energy, gives you a transit tracker. So in a very simple way, you can understand what transits might be affecting you at the time that you're looking at your phone, basically. So that is a really lovely app to use. It's not free. There is a free version, just if you want to set up your birth chart in the Chani app. But if you want the weekly horoscopes and the daily guidance, then you're going to need to pay a subscription fee for that one. But it's quite affordable, and it's a really, really lovely app to use. Highly recommend that. The other way to go is to get, something like a moon app. I have also used like a moon calendar just to track the phases of the moon. This is a really fantastic tool to have on your phone because you might have done a little bit of work with the moon. I highly encourage you to get started with the moon if you're just coming into astrology now. Following the phases of the moon is such a great place to begin, especially when you're thinking about planning for your business. So get on board with a moon app. There's so many out there. Have a look, see what feels good to you. I used a simple moon calendar. It's called the moon calendar, I think. And it's very, very cheap. I think like $4 or $5 a year, something like that. And it just gives you an update of what sign the moon is in. It also takes into account your own birth chart. So you know what house the moon is in at each phase as well, which is super helpful. You can also try other apps like The Pattern, CoStar, stuff like that. You might already be using those things. I like The Pattern, for instance. I think it's interesting and it gives some really, really interesting interpretations, but it is not always clear to me what aspect they're using to get that interpretation. So I don't love it from the perspective of getting to know your astrology better. It's more like giving you some insight into yourself, but it's not necessarily linking it clearly enough with your astrology chart. So for the purposes of getting to know yourself through astrology, it's not the best app out there. It is a great app, but from this perspective, I believe something like the Chani app or a moon app is more beneficial in helping you understand the cycles of the moon or the planets and how they're affecting you. All right, now obviously another tool you can use is Google. You can Google things like, what does it mean to have a Gemini rising? What does it mean to have a midheaven in Scorpio? You can get more information just by Googling what you are listening to on my podcast, what we're doing in the workshops that I run. You can get a little bit more information. But what I would really recommend that you do is, if this is stuff that you're really interested in, you want to know more about, go and learn from someone, get some more information, do a little course or a workshop or something like that as well. This is why I offer my mini workshops. So my Cosmic Business Plan workshop, we go into detail on how to understand how your chart works so you can plan out your year and considering the phases of the moon and all of that kind of thing. You can also look at, in terms of courses for astrology, Astrology Hub is a great place to go to get some more information and guidance on specific astrology topics. There are some amazing YouTube astrologers out there as well. I highly recommend Stormy Grace. She's amazing. You may want to look at people who I've had on the podcast before, like Christy Gray or Alicia Yusuf. There's a whole range of fantastic astrologers out there. there are not a lot of astrologers who also focus on your business. And that is why I highly recommend, if you want to use astrology in your business, you come and have a session with me. So come and have a Cosmic Business Breakthrough session, which is a 90-minute session where we dive deep into your birth chart and pull out the things that you need to know in order for you to amplify them in your business, or, the challenges you may face in business for you to be aware of. It's really going to help you just adjust and also deepen the work that you do. So the clients that I have worked with in the past find it really illuminating, affirming, and transformative in a way that, because it's giving you the permission that you've been seeking to do the stuff that you really want to do, that we so often think, well, that's not okay. Like, that's not what I should be doing because this person says I should launch in this way, or this person says my offer should be this, or I'm following X, Y, and Z formula. When you look at business in the context of your personal blueprint, your astrology chart, everything becomes so much easier because, of course, you're following your natural design, right? And that's what I want for you. So to find out more about booking a session with me, there will be a link in the show notes. There will be a link to check out my YouTube video on how to set up your free birth chart as well. If you have questions or comments, please email me or drop me a DM on Instagram, or even comment on the video in YouTube. I would love to help you out, and I would love to see you for a Cosmic Business Breakthrough one-on-one session. Have an awesome week. Thanks for joining me on the Cosmic Business Breakthrough. If you'd like to learn more about what I do, head to sophiapalace.com or follow me at Sophia Palace over on Instagram. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I'd love for you to take a moment and review the show if you found it helpful, and share it with a few friends. Thanks again, and I'll speak to you next time.